John Calvin on Psalm 81, verses 4 through 6. For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob. This he ordained in Joseph for a testimony, when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not. I removed his shoulders from the burden. His hands were delivered from the pots. When he went out against Egypt, where he heard a language we did not understand. The people, having God for their conductor, passed freely without obstruction through the land of Egypt, the inhabitants having been so discouraged and dismayed as not to dare to make any opposition to their passage. The prophet enhances the blessing of their deliverance when, speaking in the name of the whole people, he affirms that he had been rescued from profound barbarism. I heard a language which I did not understand. Nothing is more disagreeable than to sojourn among a people with whom we can hold no communication by language, which is the chief bond of society. Language being, as it were, the image and mirror of the mind, those who cannot employ it in their mutual intercourse are no less strangers to one another than the wild beasts of the forest. When the prophet Isaiah, in Isaiah 33, verse 19, intends to denounce a very dreadful punishment, he says, quote, "You will see those arrogant people, those people of an obscure language, with their strange, incomprehensible tongue," unquote. Thus the people acknowledged that the benefit which God conferred was so much the more to be valued, because they were delivered from the Egyptians, with whose language they were unacquainted. I removed the burden from their shoulders. Here God begins to recount the benefits which he had bestowed upon the Israelites and the many ways in which he had laid them under obligations to him. The more galling the bondage was from which they had been delivered, the more desirable and precious was their freedom. As God has not only withdrawn our shoulders from a burden of brick, and not only removed us from the cruel and miserable tyranny of Satan and drawn us from the depths of hell, the obligations under which we lie to him are of a much more strict and sacred kind than those which he had brought his ancient people under.